And George was like, no, my kids don't hear it there. They're like, hi. George goes, hi, George. I'm going to let him get by.
I call this meeting of the Perry Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members are present. This meeting has been duly called. The notice this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Would you all pray with me, please? Dear Heavenly Father, we're so very, very grateful for all of the wonderful, wonderful opportunities you've given us, all of the gifts you have bestowed upon us, the blessings you have sent our way. We ask that you be with us this evening as we do the business of our local school district. Be with us as we make decisions that affect our children, affect our teachers, our employees, that all the decisions that we make will be in your will for us. In thy heavenly name we pray. Amen. Amen. One quick movement on the agenda. We'll go first to fuel bids. Got some folks waiting so they can get some fuel ordered. So first bid will open here from Equity. I'm assuming this is a transport load, one transport load of clear diesel at $2.57 from Frank Oil. Transport load of ULS number 2 diesel with winter additive, over the road highway fuel, $2.59 with winterizer, $2.56 without. So we have three bids. $2.59 with from Frank, $2.57 from Equity, $2.56 without from Frank.
So how long will the load last? Yeah. Because we won't be using much this summer, but do we need a winter additive?
Yes, we do. I talked to the mechanic, and just in case we run into October and have early freezes, he wanted to be prepared. So he requested that we do have the winter additive put in.
Okay, so $2.59 versus $2.57.
And $2.57 does not include the additive.
It does not say.
It does.
It does.
I double
Phil's bid does. Okay.
Okay. Well, I move that we accept the bid from Perryton Equity.
Second. Moved and seconded to accept the bid for one transport load of number 2 clear diesel at $2.57 a gallon with winter additive. Any additional discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 6-0-1.
You had another one here.
Me and you too.
Oh, I did. I thought I saw your hand.
Oh, no.
That was me.
Okay. 502. Do we have anyone for open forum? Reports. Superintendent's report. Mr. Brown.
Okay, as far as personnel, we don't have anything since our last meeting, so there's no resignations, no hirings right now to update you on. We have we're beginning to, as they say, swing hammers over at Wright on our bond project. We've done a lot of selections, as you guys know. We've done the budget, and it looks like now we're starting the activity. We've got fences. They just now put the fence up so that they have their laydown yard, and they're going to begin working on those classrooms very, very soon. We'll be doing the same thing at the high school, although the high school will be starting about in September, early October. That's when we'll probably start swinging hammers there. They're looking at about a year process to get through this phase. This is phase 1. During this year, they'll be working on phase 1. We'll be watching over their work, but we'll also be planning phase 2. So there's we're going to be doing both jobs throughout this year. But I'm glad to see fences are going up, and we're about to start doing this work. Kudos and a shout out to Mrs. Chisholm and her staff. They've done a lot of cleaning out. They've done a lot of rearranging. And they've got a plan for moving classrooms and kind of a big classroom shuffle as they begin to work through the renovations. Other than that, on typical just summer activity, we have summer strength and conditioning going on. I'm sure Mr. Hernandez is going to want to talk about that. And we are doing lots of preparation as far as planning our professional development, getting things in place for this coming school year. Lots of that needs to happen over the summer, and so our staff is working pretty hard on that. Any questions or anything that that you guys have or want to hear about, at least for the moment. Hey, Mr. Beal, I'll put it back to you.
Okay, director's reports. Ms. Walker?
Okay, I handed y'all a sheet like this, and it is prices that we need to meet. If you'll look, our average price for last year was $318, and they average all the schools with each having a different increment. Ours needs to be at $380 for the current year. So we are actually behind 62 cents. We can go up a minimum of the 10 cents and carry over the 52 cents, which is what we've done several years. If you don't want to do that, you could go up 20 cents. I recommend we do not go up the breakfast because it's at $2.45, and breakfast costs, we kind of figure with the reimbursement, it's $2.73. So breakfast costs, we range between $1.10 and the highest about $2. That's counting everything, including your tray and we went through it all. So they're really not participating. And I think if we even ask for more for breakfast, and we don't have to go at breakfast, that we'll have less participation. I would like to say reduced breakfast will be free again next year. So anybody that you see that you can get that information out to, or what we can do to have that out, because that didn't start till like October last year. So they didn't know in the beginning. So it will continue through all this year. So breakfast get to eat free, and they reimburse us 30 cents for breakfast through TDA. But for lunch, last year's rates were $4.35 for free, and we got 50 cents for paid and $3.95 for reduced for lunches. And we did qualify for the 8 cents extra, which I'm sure we probably will still qualify for the 8 cents extra. So the main thing is down to it. If we go up 10 cents, you see the prices in that one column, that last column in the green. And that's what the prices would be. You can choose. I would not recommend going up more than 20 cents at a time.
Is the choice, Shelley, is it 10 cents or 20 cents or that 20 cents?
Or you can go up 52 cents, but y'all are going to talk to me. No, I'm teasing. Because basically, we're behind. If we go up to 10 cents, we're still behind 52 cents. We've averaged being behind 50 cents for a long time. So if we want to keep it at 10 cents, that's the minimum that we have to go up.
Sound like you were threatening the school board, but go ahead.
Yeah, with love. Y'all, I'll be with you, just not in front of you.
So because the inflation is, and then we're dealing with.
I'm sure that's that, and we just haven't. One year we brought it to the board, and I've been here way too long to tell you. It's been 29 years. One year we decided that we could go up 25 cents. I filled out the packets, and the board said, no, we're not going up 25 cents. So every packet that I filled out on the white sheet got put in the trash, and we went up to 10. So that is why I'm very conscientious in getting what y'all want to do before,
Have you ever had a situation where because you've not gone up enough to cover what I assume are inflationary costs, that you've gotten farther and farther behind?
I would say yes. Because
yes, you have.
I think we do get further and further, and not necessarily a situation. The only situation we're looking at right now is they did tell us that our a la carte sales need to be increased, which we've already set that up to increase that, because if you're not making over so much percent of that, that's kind of I hate to say your bread and butter. but it kind of is your bread and butter because those snack bars roll in. That's just like if they go to Pakistan, but the snack bars roll in the money, and we're not making enough profit through there that we might not get.
So would going up in price on lunches increase the options you have for offering the kids in meals by a lot?
Not 10 cents worth, because you're talking,
No, but if we went 20 cents, I mean, this is not the time, this is just for.
you're still talking $1 a week on per kid, and I don't really think that that's enough because the cost of food's going to go up that much.
What are your thoughts, Mr.
I've done this really for a lot of years. I recommend staying with 10 cents.
Just going up.
Yeah, it kind of keeps us in the same place. And
I feel like if
it doesn't put as much of a burden on our community and our families.
And I feel like if they ever cut down and we're over that 52 cents, we're going to have to do it then. But I would no way recommend going up more than 20 cents ever, just because I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have 6 or 8 kids, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
And Brittany, we're good with the 50-cent trailing that we've been doing for this budget year. So we'll have that item coming up here once we get to discussion and action items.
Because if the meals are the same, you'll see the bottom dollar, and that's $20,149 for last year and $20,783. So it's about $600 more to go up 15 cents. So. And I don't have anything else to add if y'all don't have anything else to ask.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. IT department. Do we have any report or just what we have?
Ivan is on vacation, so
Okay, haven't seen him.
so is Alan.
Okay, so is Alan. So
Yes.
any questions, just contact Mr. Brown. I'm sure he would be well
More
versed
than-
to be able,
More than happy
to
to
answer any questions there.
more than happy to give you Ivan or Alan's number.
Ms. Hughley.
I really don't have anything to add. I just wanted to answer questions about corrective action plans if you had any. However, I did make a little mistake. The SPED consolidated grant that we received, we requested 60,000. I think we received 56,400, but I don't know if we've gotten it yet.
Yes, it came in.
Yay! Okay. So thank you to EA for making that mistake and holding on to that COVID money and having to get rid of it by August so that we could share in that. So it's going to be used the way our CFO thinks it needs to be used. Any questions?
Contracted services, I think.
Yeah.
That's what they've recommended.
For the training for the CAT, how many of our GE staff are involved in that?
We will train the entire staff on the afternoon of August 9th. And then we'll train our SPED staff on specifics in September.
That is unfortunate. Okay, thanks to EA.
Anything
Other
else?
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Transportation, Mr. Felix.
Yes, sir.
We all saw the fancy bus or fancy van.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for allowing us to purchase that. That's going to be a great addition to the school fleet.
So we talked outside
Yes.
a little bit about that being a good thing. So we
Yes, sir.
replace some of the things we've been using buses for. It
Yes,
came up where we had a couple of abandoned vehicles that we parked. Dan, do we have a utilization report where we know how many hours we're putting on the buses every year, which I guess we should, right?
It'd be that mileage report that I've given y'all.
And so if we do that, are there buses? I mean, it seems like we're accumulating things that should not be accumulating.
Right now, we have one bus that's the same one that's been next to the bus barn. That bus, and then we have
Planter is a big.
say that again.
Nothing.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, thank goodness you did.
So we have that bus, and then we have a bus that basically gave its last rides this year, which was bus 14. It's one of the oldest buses. It doesn't even have air brakes. It's an old one. It's going to cost more.
What's the plan with that?
That one we're hoping. I need to get with Mr. Kemp. Mr. Brown had given me some information that we're looking at some auction stuff to be able to get rid of buses like that, vehicles that are broken down, not used.
Yeah, my experience with that stuff is if it sits, it gets cannibalized, and then you never can use it.
Yes. So right now, those are the only two buses that are not being used.
Yeah, we're
And
going
the-
to Frank Phillips.
Yes. The
we
one
did
that was
donate
at
one to
the
Frank Phillips.
baseball field
And they
went
were
to
very
Frank
grateful
Phillips
for that.
for the diesel program.
So-
That's good. I mean, that's
Yes,
good.
sir. Absolutely. But
And
that's
so-
those are the only two buses that are not being used.
So there's one that's out of service, and then there's one I think that our mechanic is bringing back to life, and we're going to be using that in the town.
That's the
going from the
plan.
high school to transport our welding students.
So we don't have anything that I would think of as a backup bus. We're using everything that we've got. Is that the plan?
Yes, we have some of our, like we have our route buses that are used every day. We have our Ranger buses. We do have, we call them activity buses. They're the yellow buses, but they go to Amarillo, Delhart. They're activity buses. They're set aside. They're not route buses. So we do have those buses, but they're used all the time.
And if we needed a route bus, those could be used.
Correct.
Because they're yellow and they have big, yeah.
Correct. If let's say something happens in the morning, we had a couple cold mornings that we had some buses that wouldn't start. We grab those buses and they'll go run around. But for the most part, those are our activity buses. Yes, sir. And right now we have 3 of those. We have 2 72 passenger and we have 1 59 passenger. We did have a 4th 59 passenger. That bus is now bus 14. We have the one that died, so we had to replace one. So right now we're an activity bus short.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Sure. Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, sir.
AD's report, Coach.
How are y'all? I typed up a few notes. I think it should be in there, but we've started, like Mr. Brown said, summer strength and conditioning program that started. We're in week 3. Today makes week 3 of that. We've averaged 250 to 300 kids a morning. So we work out in basically 2 times. 7 to 9 is all of our boys, junior high up to high school. 9 to 11 is all of our girls, junior high up to high school. So our coaches, they've been, Mr. Brown gave kudos earlier. I'll give kudos to our coaches. They get up there every morning at 6 a.m. We go through a staff meeting. We get ready to start working at 7. That lasts till about 11. So they're usually there till about noon. We've got teams that are in Dumas right now. Our boys and girls basketball teams are in a summer league program. I included those in our notes. Tomorrow, football goes 7-on-7 in Childress. Volleyball's in Guyman, doing a summer league deal. So our sports have been around competing throughout the summer so far. And then we're about to give our kiddos, they're about to get a 4th of July break. So at the end of this week, Thursday will be their last day. They go into a 10-day 4th of July break for that. And then we're still pushing for 90% attendance. I don't know if I talked about that there at the beginning, but a lot of our kids are working well towards meeting that goal. You guys are always invited to come in and look. You walk into the Rhett gym. There's posters up that have dots all on them. Kids can see attendance-wise what they've been there for. So it's going to be real easy to track and for the T-shirts and stuff that they're going to be given at the end of this program. And then also the weight room. Mr. Brown was in there today. You can be in the weight room. You can be on the field. Our kids are getting worked and worked hard right now, which is what we need. And so things are going well. Busy. busy on at my desk. A lot of things we're trying to put into place, hires that we're trying to make, but it's been good. It's been good. A lot of hours, but it's been exciting. So
can you tell a difference from whenever, just in the 3 weeks? I mean, have our kids got
Right.
stronger,
Yeah.
faster? Is it measurable yet?
yes, you can tell in form and how we lift. I'll take a lift, hang clean. We do a hang clean. We didn't do that very much previous to when I got here. We're doing that almost daily. You can see that a change in form already. You can see it from the first day they walked in, conditioning wise. The amount of kids that are having to stand by the trash can.
Boys and girls?
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's fine.
Oh yeah. We had a poor girl. We had a poor little junior high girl. She just threw up all in the weight room today.
Yeah.
That's not the first incident. It happens. But
This was one of her first times coming, though. That's correct?
Just happened
Yeah.
to be when you were there?
Yeah.
or what?
Well, no.
he didn't see that part. It was after. It was after. But yes, it's measurable. And
It's measurable by how fewer kids are standing by the trash can every day.
and it'll be really noticeable in our 7th week when we go back and max again. I mean, that was the whole deal that I had talked about kind of with the summer strength and conditioning program I want to bring in. It's really easy to measure how strong our kids are getting, how fast our kids are getting. You'll see it. You'll be able to see it. And so it's been good through all of our levels. It's been great. Our kids are showing up. Our kids are responding to what we're asking them to do. That's all we can ask for right now. And so it's been really neat. And then I think on top of that, like Mr. Brown was saying, I don't necessarily have a hire to push to you. I mean, we're working a lot of stuff right now that we're trying to get people in here and get everything lined up. And so, but it's positive. We're not all the way to the end, the finish line on some of these yet. And then a bunch of purchases. Next time I'll probably be a little bit better organized. I know our cheerleaders, they got new cheer mats. That was purchased. We've got girls basketball uniforms that are being purchased. We've got junior high volleyball uniforms that are being purchased right now. These are all gifts that are coming from our booster club. Those are all purchased. We've had cross country uniforms that are being purchased right now. And so all that's going on. We're fundraising. We're using a lot of that stuff to give back to our kids. So it's really actually, and I know you probably see it on social media. It's actually been a really good time to be a part of Perryton ISD, to be honest with you, and what's going on so far. So good things are happening.
Thank you.
Yeah. Questions? Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Ranger Roundup.
Hi, good evening.
Good day.
I'm really here. I don't really have anything to add to my report unless there are questions, but I wanted to welcome Mr. Jeff. I do have some paperwork that I'll need to get with you to submit to licensing, and I can walk you through the process of that and answer any questions that you'll have. You'll just be added as a new controlling persons to our license.
A scary letter.
Yes,
you
you'll
do
get a scary letter in the mail.
Yeah.
We'll need to schedule you for fingerprints as well. Just part of the process of maintaining our license and our permit. Any questions on my report? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Communications and safety?
Nothing to add. I believe for our informal assessment, the recommendations that they need to look at before they come back is
It's a big list.
this handout. So Stacy and I will be looking at all of that. I was reminded this week, we're in the cycle of the next 3 years of our big safety audit. So we need to be mindful of that. And short little list.
Notice in here, it talked about the PD hadn't talked to Mutual Link yet. Have we followed up with them or with the city, or do you need other help from people following up?
Let me put that at the top of my to-do list, and then I'll follow that.
Holler if you need help. Because I'm really excited about this Mutual Link program. I just think the buy-in was there originally from all three entities, and now we just kind of have two that are moving forward, and maybe need some push on the PD side to push that through. Other questions, Brittany? Curriculum and instruction, Ms. Hale?
Thank you. In the board report, I have expanded and have given you a document that looks like this as we elaborate on our preliminary STAR results. And when I say preliminary, these are not final because there are kids that have moved in after snapshot, kids that have moved out, and those students have not been accounted for. So it could increase, it could decrease, but right now they're just preliminary. We should have the final in August, so I'll be reporting back to you. You know, these are not the scores we were hoping to have had this year. We realized going through a math curriculum change that there is very likely a dip in our math scores. And we did see that in several of our math grades and subjects. Teachers had worked really hard, tried to implement a very challenging program. So I think Mr. Brown and I, we have met with the math teachers on the 6th. We've met with the principals, met with the principals on the 6th, met with math teachers on the 13th, trying to get a game plan of, is Eureka and Carnegie the best fit? Do we need to make some modifications to that? What is in the best interest of Harrington ISD moving forward with math? Because like I said, these are not the results any of us are pleased with. So in moving forward, what are we going to do to address these concerns? And not just the math, we saw dips in other areas, but not as significant as we did see in some of our math areas. So I want to highlight, you see the two gray columns that says 23 meet and 24 meet, and then you can see the change in that far right column. I highlighted this because at the back of the report, the state compared the STAR scores on the meets level for 23 and 24, just to give you a comparison a little bit.
So what you're seeing in the gray column on the right is the difference between the two gray columns in the middle, the meets.
And the attempt by the legislature to accelerate the performance standards or the accountability standards, that's on hold right now because of the lawsuit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that what doesn't weigh in here.
We don't know how that's going to work out right now.
But it's not in these numbers.
No,
At least
this
preliminary
is just the testing. Now, when we guess and try and figure our campus ratings, that'll weigh in on the high school side mainly with the CCMR.
And we haven't heard anything since February of where that lawsuit is.
Yeah.
We'll get ratings, if we're going to modify anything, so we're just kind of in a holding pattern until we get more information from the state.
Yeah, okay. So
you can see the overall preliminary scores for this year on the back side of the second page. Wright was a 74, Williams was an 85, junior high an 81, high school was a 74, which is lower than where we would like to be, but there's been a significant push to try to increase our CCMR, which has a very positive or negative impact on your high school rating. So with this year, I think we're at 95, 96%.
96%, I believe.
When I plug in that percentage for 24, now remember it runs behind it. If we were to have that percentage on these scores, we would have bumped up to an 83. So it is important that we continue to push and get our kids CCMR ready for accountability purpose and just for themselves in general.
And as you guys remember, we've been struggling with that for the past couple of years. They've really worked hard. High school worked hard on that issue this year, and we've made significant progress. And although we're not seeing it right now, I think we will see that. It'll make a big difference on our scores next year.
I just copied and pasted a TA news release from June 14th that overall ELA in grades 3, 5, and 8 experienced a decrease by 2%. Grades 4 and 6 in ELA, they saw an increase of 3 to 4%. But across the board in all math and science across the state, they saw a decrease in STAR results. And the state is still saying that is partly due to COVID. We're not back to those pre-COVID years.
It's changing that.
And the change in test. You're exactly right. Yes, we're still trying to navigate the test. We're still working on and working with our kiddos. Exactly. Yes. So, and then these next few charts are for 3 through 8, just a comparison of the meets for 23 and 24, how you can see how the state has compared over these 2 years. Mr. Brown and I, we talked about what are some things we want to do. How are we going to address this? Like I said, this is not something that we are satisfied with. I don't think probably any of our campus administrators are satisfied with. So in brainstorming with Mr. Brown, we've met with the principal, we've met with our math teachers. We really want to ensure that our teachers know how to disaggregate data down to an individual student. And then once you have that data, what do you do with it? How do you come up with that targeted intervention, targeted instruction to really work with that student? We did that specifically with 4th grade. After we received their benchmark scores, which was a release STAR test, we had some concern. So with Clara and Ms. Snell, they really got down and dug into the data and came up with a plan for every 4th grade student. And then the CNI team worked with small groups. We had teachers working with small groups, so everybody really came together, and we saw growth in 4th grade math. And I think a lot of it was getting down to that individual level. So we hope to do that, make sure teachers understand how to do that, and that is done at each 6 weeks, so we can catch them after each TEK is taught for the 6 weeks and not too far behind. I would like to meet with the teachers and the principals individually. What is their plan? What can we do as a CNI team to support you? What are you needing? We have looked at the elementary schedules to make for sure that we're maximizing every time possible. There's not any wasted time in there that's to the kids' benefit. We also, one of the challenges and one of the concerns with Eureka we heard is that the assessments, they didn't feel we're star aligned. So we need to figure out a better way to get some star aligned assessments that they really know the data they're looking at. 3rd grade specifically, they gave the interim test, which is by TEA. And those tests did not give us a clear indication of what our STAR scores were, because the interim test showed great data. We were excited, we were pumped, and then we get the scores and just really disappointed. So we've had that conversation.
So talking a little bit on that, guys, just so that you know, one of the reasons we probably didn't focus on like in 3rd grade math is because we used the interims, and the interim test from TEA was showing 30 and 40% jumps in needs. I mean, we thought that data was good, and we thought 3rd grade was rocking along. So we were surprised at some of these scores, but it indicated us that we can't use that anymore. That test, the interim test, was bad data for us this year.
So TEA's test, TCA's assessment test, and they don't match. So TEA's contribution here is negative.
It's developed by TEA. It's a bit of a confusing test. As it starts, each student gets a different test basically, because as it starts, you answer a few initial questions, and based on your answer to those initial questions, it'll take you on a track, either lower level questions, medium level questions, or higher level questions. And in the end, it claims to predict a student's result or mastery on the actual STAR test.
You grade something like that?
Good question.
It's an algorithm.
Hey, yeah.
Who's our math guy?
Answered everything else in life.
Yeah, it's all online.
One of the challenges I think kids are facing too, when it's on paper, they have that page in front of them and they're able to see the information, the data, if they're reading something that's extensive. And now they've got a little small screen that they're looking at, and they're having to go up to see where something is that they need to review, and it's made it difficult. So I think part of that's a learning curve as well, because technology is great in a lot of ways, but then for something like that to be tested, that's horrible.
And I remember a lot of the test taking strategies, like as a kid that they pushed, it was like involved highlighters and circling things,
Right.
and marking things out. You can't do that.
You can't do that on this. So,
So specifically talking about math, that was bad data. And we, now we realize it. And as we've talked through and asked some people, that have used it and have used it as well, they had the same experience, that the interim test showed different results than they actually got.
We talked to
So-
DEA.
So Bob, I haven't talked with him yet.
Give Richard.
Bottom line is,
Yeah.
Richard, let me look up their number. So the bottom line is we're not going to use that again, and we're going to trust what we have used, and that's the testing and the benchmarks that we have developed. Now, let me talk just briefly to you guys about math specifically, because that's where we struggled the most. And I made this promise, so I'm going to follow through on my promise, because I promised our teachers early in the fall. You guys know we've talked about this. There was resistance about the curriculum change because it's different, and it is a different curriculum. And I dug my heels in because I didn't want us abandoning ship after 3 months. So I dug my heels in a little bit, and I promised them if our scores dropped, their biggest concern was if our scores were going to drop. And I promised them that if our scores dropped, that I would take responsibility for that with you guys, because I'm the one that dug my heels in and said, this is what we're going to do. Now we're at the point where we've seen how it's used. Our teachers have gone all the way through it, and we're just not pleased with what we've gotten. So we're beginning to, talking with the teachers and the principals this past 2 weeks, bringing them in and just asking them for their feedback, for their input, and how we're going to move forward. We've got some really good math teachers who know their business, and I really trust that with their input and with us being willing to, now that we've been through it, now that we have some data and we know what's going to happen, I think we can adapt this or adapt our plan so that it's much more successful. The things that Dr. Hale has been talking about is things we've already done, like aligning assessments to making sure our assessments, what we test and benchmark on with that curriculum, make sure those are star aligned. Those are some things that our teachers told us through the year that they were concerned about. So we're going to be doing that. But let me also throw this little wrench, and let me take you on one more tangent. When it comes to the math curriculum, the curriculum we use this year is the curriculum that Texas has bought, and they're supplying it to districts as an open resource. This is going to be Texas's, maybe we might say, official math curriculum, but they are aligning it. Some of the struggles we had this year, they are trying to address by aligning it to STAR. So part of what we have to think about here is if they have purchased this curriculum, and this is going to be what the state is going to supply this to schools, most likely it's what they're going to begin to develop their tests based on. So part of our struggle here is to walk through this transition as they are transitioning.
So did it just not line up with the test, or was it not as educationally sound and didn't click with the kids? What did the teachers say?
So the answer to that is probably mixed. So it didn't align with the test. Yes,
obviously.
That is clear, and that's something we're going to have to work on. It takes a different approach. There are some things, the feedback we get from the teachers is really that there are some things that are really good about it. And there are some things that they would like to modify or not use at all. And we're going to begin giving them that freedom.
Is it usable? Can we go for part of the problem here with these standards we keep doing is they keep moving goalposts, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that keeps going on. So every couple of years we get a change in tests, change in this, we get a change in that. How do we measure it? I'm more worried about how our kids are stacking up through the school system as opposed to keeping somebody in.
You can't get a good measurement on it whenever they keep moving gold.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. So how do we know? I mean, we're sitting here trying to figure out how do you raise standards and how do you improve things, and they keep moving things around on you. It's like we're well, you don't want my opinion of this one, but anyway, is it usable?
We just
So-
don't
so
think
I
that they're
think-
sitting behind a desk like we are going, here, make them hit that one. And okay, let's move this because they were doing good here. So let's change
No,
this.
it's the same thing was
And that
going on with
happens.
with the standards. They were trying to put everything they removed, so they give everybody a break during COVID. They were going to lump them all back in at one time, and everybody was going to get.
But obviously their benchmark means nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Their
doesn't
test.
mean anything.
Their
So I don't
test.
know how to solve it.
Maybe
One
they
of the
drop
things-
that on us so that the private schools look a little better, and all public schools. I'm sorry about.
I don't think
this,
TEA is going to do that, but go ahead.
The
I
one of the things. So when we look at, I'll just say this: when we look at our kids learning math, we're still in a little bit of a mixed bag. I do think that there has been some progress. I will say this: like in kindergarten and first grade, kindergarten especially, the feedback we've gotten is that our kindergartners are performing way above what they normally do. In addition and subtraction, they have jumped immensely, and that's coming from the teachers.
However, I could not do that.
Okay, well, but they're doing it.
They're doing it, but I
Yeah.
had to Google it. I was like, I don't understand what this is. So I understand some parent frustration. You have to
I
look at
understand
it
that
a
too.
totally different way than we were taught,
Yeah.
which is not wrong, but it is.
There are some things, and even the teachers who struggled with it this year, they'll even say there are some ways that they're teaching concepts in the curriculum that they want to see continue. So probably the answer to your question, Mr. BA, is what every teacher would say: there is no perfect curriculum. And I think this one is usable, but I think we're going to have to not hold tight to the strict fidelity of it. We're going to have to give teachers the opportunity to modify and adjust, and that's really where we're at on it.
Well, and how do they know what to modify and adjust to? You know, it just blows my mind.
And the new teachers, I mean, that takes so long to learn how to teach. I hate the teaching. If they're seeing more kids have gaps that they're not learning concepts, yes, I think our teachers are great and will help with that, because we all need this. Teaching to the test.
It's frustrating for all of us. It's frustrating for the teachers. It's frustrating for the students. It's frustrating for the
And,
whole
and it's one
education system.
day, it's one measurement on one random set of questions that measures, and the kid, there's so much pressure with the kids, there's pressure with the teachers, there's pressure with the admin, and it's really just supposed to measure how our schools are doing compared to other schools, and are we using the right things and this and that, and we hype it up so much, half of that. The test pressure, you shouldn't have a 3-year-old or 5 and 6-year-old with test anxiety worrying about tests, but that's what we've done to them.
Mr. Brown, the other schools that you visited with, are they seeing a similar reduction in scores from what they saw the last time around? Or you had a chance to?
We haven't had a chance to investigate other schools.
Is there Region
Everyone's a
16?
secret right now as far as
Okay,
scores,
there's
but
not like Region 16.
Which tells me,
but we
the answer
are.
to my question is everyone's scores look like this.
Or they'd be out putting it in the newspaper.
Probably.
Hey, look at us. Look how great we are.
Yeah.
I will say that we're continuing to investigate this. We've asked some again for some schools who are like us, who are doing pretty well and have used Eureka and Carnegie, and we're going to look into those. We got some names today, so we are going to continue to investigate this. I would
I've
say
learned a word in schoolwork, cohort.
Check
Check with
Yes.
our cohort schools.
yes, we are.
To see,
Some borderline
I've
criminal.
used that word now.
Well, I trust y'all more getting our kids prepared and learning the way they should than our government telling them to. So I think as long as y'all just go on the same track y'all are.
Well, and it speaks to the way we like to do things, and that's local control. We need to let our teachers and let us be able to make those decisions, and we're gonna stay true to that. We have some really great teachers and some great minds, and we have some developing teachers, and they're going to develop into great teachers. I think probably to summarize maybe what we're going to be doing is, I think Mrs. Hale and I and her curriculum, Dr. Hale and I and her and her curriculum team, we will probably be a little more hands-on this year. And by hands-on, I don't mean we're going to stay in some pretty close touch individually with teachers, grade levels, like you in the 4th grade, where you see the progress we made. We're going to be working doing that through some of our other grade levels, working down to the individual student. Most of our teachers are doing that now, but we're going to make sure that it's happening, and also make sure that we're supplying them what they need as far as resources, expertise. We need to get them in touch with Carnegie or Eureka or math experts in other districts. Try and get them the things they need so that we see progress next year in that final column there, that gray column.
Let me say this, if it comes up with Jed, if we have to come down to trusting the TEA or trusting the teachers that are actually in the classroom, I'm going to trust the teachers, right?
Yep.
So they can put the kids' needs first, the administration put the kids' needs first. I still have my doubts about this test.
If you didn't, I'd worry about you.
I have no doubts about anything.
We see, I'm not that far yet. That's right.
We would have
do
shut
that,
down.
right? Yeah.
Little kids would have been learning math.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Is there anything else?
That's fine. I think that was everything, kind of the things we had brainstormed and how we're going to address that. Do y'all have any questions that I can answer that Mr. Brown hasn't already answered as far as STAR goes?
If I take the math effects of the math system out of here, what is your district evaluation look like?
Reading and science.
Reading and science. There's some other
English 1, yeah. I mean, we still have some other places that we need to address as well.
But there's also
overall,
screens out
math
there
was
with
the
some
overall
tremendous
one.
gains.
Yes.
There are some.
That's some big,
Yes.
big
Fourth grade,
There's
fifth
some
grade,
double-digit gains as
sixth grade,
well.
fifth grade.
Because we're focusing on the reds.
Social
So there's some pretty
Social
green
studies.
dots.
A lot of reds on the list.
There's a lot of reds, but we don't want to forget about the place
Like
where
cold.
we're making
Yeah.
progress.
No, that's
Yes.
right. And so I think that's right. And I think that needs to be recognized. I just, I'm really curious on the system change. And Greg, I appreciate your Superintendent Brown. I appreciate your one of the titles here, right? I
Don't worry
appreciate
about
your.
me. It's that one down at the end.
I
of the
appreciate.
table.
I appreciate you setting responsibility for you. You said that going into this thing, but I'm not right now sitting here. I don't know warm and fuzzy about TEA's input here on the test. I think something has been dropped. So,
I would like to get to the point, and I know many people would. I would like to get to the point where we don't even say the word test or STAR. That we just teach, and we teach well, and we teach the TEKS, and we teach what we know is going to be successful for kids. That we don't even worry.
you're still
I'm
going
not
to
sure if we get
evaluate
there.
it somehow. I mean,
Right.
Is there any progress? Was the TA kicking around test 3 times a year instead of once a year? How's it going?
There are. That's in a pilot
Yeah.
right now. I'm not. The little bit that I've heard about it hasn't been real positive. Yeah.
Something new that's starting 24-25, the Senate Bill 21-24 is middle school advanced math.
Forced middle school advanced math.
Yeah,
It is
that's
forced.
right.
So all students that are in 5th grade that scored in the top 40%, or excuse me, 60% of the STAR test, they are automatically enrolled in an advanced 6th grade math. So that is going to be, they're going to get they're going to get all of the 6th grade tests and half of the 7th grade tests. If a parent does not want their child to be enrolled in that class, then they'll have to opt out of it. But right now, they are automatically enrolled in that course. Then moving forward to next year, it'll be the same idea going into 7th grade. Those top performing students will be pushed into an advanced 7th grade math. So you have to have the STAR measure and then also a local measure for any student that maybe didn't score great on the STAR test, but is strong in math. They just aren't a good test taker. So we also have to look at that component as well. And when we counted students that were in that top 60% just in STAR, it was 73 students.
Gee.
Which is over half of our
It
class.
is over, it's 2/3.
Yeah, two-thirds of our class, and this is in math. 2/3 of our 5th grade class were in the top 40% of kids in the state on STAR. So let's not lose that statistic. that's good.
Can you-
Although it is going to force us to
Yeah,
do some scheduling.
okay, fifth grade did still have good scores. They just weren't as exceptional as usual. Fifth grade normally has really good scores.
So as you come up
That's
with,
kind of
you
a
guys
lot.
come up with an action plan here and what we can address, can we get an update?
Absolutely.
Okay.
How do y'all
Absolutely.
feel about the advanced math for that number of students? Is that going to be successful for the kids?
There'll be more sections of advanced sixth grade math than what we originally, than we've ever had before, in my understanding. You've had one, maybe two sections, now you're looking at 3 for sure.
Yeah. But when you're covering different TEKs, you decide advanced as a goal, you drop down, it's a whole nother book. It's not like changing from advanced English to regular English, English to English. If you're teaching a different book in math, transferring back is difficult.
Yes, you're kind of combining some TEKs in each grade. You're splitting 7th grade TEKs basically into 2 and pushing 3 years into 2.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question, I think, Mr. Gallus, is this is something that is mandated for us.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure our kids are successful. Do everything we can to make sure they're successful in it. Yeah. Yeah.
That looks rough for a few.
That concludes my report.
Thank goodness.
Thank you very much.
Financial reports.
That's why I had to look. I'm getting old, rest.
Nothing outstanding in the disbursements. We still have no formal word on our SHARS reimbursement as far as what we appealed. So to help make that up, I'm taking the indirect cost of some of our larger COVID funding, such as the after-school program, which ended and we didn't quite use all of it. Even down to Title I, we can use some of that. Plus our CD interest, I underestimate each year, thankfully, and that's going to help us make up some of that. As y'all can see on the page right before, I'm on page 65, but on the page right before our ADA, we budgeted at $1,850. We came in right around $1,750. So 100 a day short. But still a little over 600,000 if you're just looking at a kid that's with a basic allotment. Our local tax collection is right around what was projected. So that we should even up at the end of this school year. And then, don't hold me to it, but I believe we'll come up in the end with a small surplus. Definitely not a deficit. And it will not be what we accomplished last year, but it won't be negative. And then, really, not much on budget. We're not overspent in any of our functions right now. We still have 2 months to go. August, of course, will pick up a little more, but I'm just keeping a close eye on everything and sending out emails as I see it as they get close. I don't foresee having to transfer anything to cafeteria. As far as out of 199, we budgeted for 50,000, but I don't think we should have to do that. That's about it on that.
On the daycare, I noticed the change in fund balance was kind of negative. Just those funds don't come in till later. I just realized some of her revenue is further out percentage-wise.
It's actually not too bad. 65,000 of that was one of those grants she got right there at the end. And so really it's closer to 60, which is about a third of what it normally is, or was prior to those really good payments we got last year. Yeah, she really does.
And then I noticed there was quite a bit of end-of-year Amazon purchases, or we still have them come in and fill out requests for Amazon. You know, there's nowhere in town, we're getting places in town now. But how big is your?
Yeah. I think that's all.
Yep. Any other questions? So, board will now convene a closed meeting to discuss the following items posted on our agenda, allowed by Texas Government Code. Chapters 551.074 personnel, 551.076 security devices, and 551.071 attorney consultation. Time is now 6:55.